Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today we're rested, resupplied, and just about as ready to go as we're ever going to be. I mean, I suppose we could just loiter around for a bit and wait for our last few guys to heal, but where's the fun in that? Gotta take some chances, and time is the enemy. After all, we do have that second crisis bearing down on us. And thus, after a night in Agerstead, the anatomists once again directed the company back towards the spot where they had spied that elk. What, are we expecting it's still gonna be there? Rassel drawled, looking around at the rest of the company to back him up. Yeah, I think it just might be, Balin responded. The beast hunter's eyes were narrowed, thoughtfully. Full company, armed and armored, comes across an elk and it don't run? I don't know what that thing is, but I'm pretty sure it's not an elk. And whatever it is, I do think it'll be waiting for us to come back. Rassel and the rest of the raiders seemed sufficiently cowed, and soon after the raiders once again reached that pastoral pond. No immediate sign of the elk, but the enigmatic anatomists, one still recovering from forging the initial path here, were quick to encourage the captain to now take the lead. To be a deer, an antelope to the fore, a stag knight as it were. The captain eyed them dubiously, but then nodded. Sword drawn, he took point, gesturing for the rest of the company to follow in his wake. By all accounts, this really does seem to be an ideal hunting ground amidst the barren tundra, an ideal spot for a short one-day kill. And sure enough, you soon spot a sizable elk cropping the scant tundra grass. Just as you ready a kill shot, the elk's neck seizes with its snout pointed straight out. The bones crack and its limbs go bow-legged as they are gripped by instant death. But it does not fall. The withers tremble and then bulb and shift as though fists rolled beneath its fur. Suddenly, the flesh tears asunder, and you can see a slick, blue mass bubbling between the wounds. Its legs burst apart, and the torso rises high into the air as long stalks of thick bone clap to the ground, and wormy, snake-like straps of muscle wrap about the shafts. You believe the elk dead, but its maw groans wildly, just as its face rips apart from crown to jaw like a blossoming flower. The face of something else entirely emerges, and it pushes forward as though generated by the very gore it was busy reaping. As the new monster finds its strength, it seizes up on both hind legs and reaches its hands back to tear away the fur of the elk, like a man would a cloak. Blood and bones splatter. A hideous beast 3 times the height of any man turns and feels out its limbs, tensing its hands, cracking its knees and shoulders, turning its head from side to side with its fat nostrils flaring like a bull. The eye sockets are all bone, and a blue haze pulses within them, like crackling storms. The elk's beautiful antlers have been abrogated by horrible horns. A frosty air curls from its mouth, and you can see the leaves of a nearby tree go cold and brittle. You have the uneasy feeling that this monster is not, in fact, a monster at all, but a transient spirit which manifests itself as it sees fit, carving itself into the world as an aspect of chaos and little else. Just as you think this, the beast turns its head toward you, and it hooks its long nails into the corners of its fanged mouth and stretches the lips so far out, the corners could be its ears.
Ah, this is the place to be. This is the place where I am happy. Why do you look with such fear? Am I not but a simple deer?
Its head cocks to a side, with the drool slopping over its bottom lip, and playful tears fill its eyes. You've heard stories of this creature, a cruel horror the Northerners call the Ejirok. You know it is not here to speak poetry and play games. You ready your sword, but then a hand claps your shoulder. Here with you always, Captain. Rassel drawls. You turn to see the company at your side, then ready to fight. Then fight we shall. Raiders, with me! Of course, as bold as their captain might be, the raiders were still somewhat given pause by the strange abomination that rose before them. 3 times the size of a man, it said? That sounds about right. And thus they held their ground, warily watching the beast, as it huffed and snorted and stomped. And then, with a sudden surge, launched itself forward, so fast the eyes could barely track it. Rassel driven backwards, ankle twisted beneath him, Seymore grunting, his own leg bowed as well, though bruised, not yet broken. And the rest of the raiders set in, quickly charging the beast, flailing at it, striking and stabbing where they could. Though their efforts did seem utterly ineffectual, at least at first. Even the mightiest blows drawing but a thin trickle of that bluish ichor. And for its part, the beast simply seemed all the more delighted to find itself surrounded by so many new playthings. Mortals always made for such delightful toys, even though they did have a tendency to break far too easily. But perhaps that was what made them so fun. Though a heavy strike from Seymore finally soured its smile. But it returned in force, albeit with cruelly curved edge. The beast standing unperturbed as other raiders hacked away at its tree-like limbs, its glowering gaze set upon the hobbled swordsmen. I'm trying to remember how this thing fights. It's been like a year or two since last time I actually did this. I want to say it charges around a lot, like it teleports, basically. You can't tie it down. So it singles out one target at a time and then repeatedly hits it from different angles until it dies and then moves on to the next. Something like that. Though I guess we're about to see. Oh, it regenerates. And the frost field. Yes, I forgot about that. A sudden burst. The blue ichor blossoming outward. A cascade of cold, chilling the closest raiders to the bone. But then, amidst all that boreal bluster, the raiders suddenly realized the beast had gone, only to return a split second later, coming from a completely different angle. A heavy strike driving Trip to his knees, face down in the snow. Thankfully unharmed, but certainly surprised. The raiders swiftly trying to reorient themselves, as they now faced the beast on the south. Zarmal darted in, circling wide, trying to fruitlessly keep the beast contained. And Rax rushed in as well, though his own efforts were perhaps doomed to failure, depending on how things played out. Perhaps only the raiders who were already close would have time to get in even a single swing, while the rest were simply chasing frosty shadows. For the beast was sure to move again soon enough. I'm not sure if it does that every round, but again, I guess we're about to see. Yes, right. Oh, gosh. And once again, beastly form gave way to boreal storm. The crick and crack of the unnatural cold snap, swiftly followed by the heavy thump of hooves once again touching down. Seymore turning just in time to catch a hobnailed ham fist in the face. His nose crushed to ruin, blood spurting and splattering across his face, dripping down his chin. And yet the warrior still stood, his gaze defiant, even as the rest of the raiders tried to rally around him, as frostbitten and stiff-jointed as they were. And the raiders were quickly learning. Those who were too far to promptly strike kept their distance. They moved in, away from the unnatural chill of the snow, but still kept some distance out of immediate striking range. Seymore quickly taking the hint, darting away just as the beast once again vanished, only to re-emerge on north, promptly met by Rook's pike and Diego's spear, though unfortunately well outside the reach of the vast bulk of the raiders, and thus they held their ground, weapons at the ready for once the beast wended its way back in their direction. Oh, God. A flash and flurry of snowflakes, the creature lunged again, this time from the east, slicing through the company formation like a bowling ball, crashing its way through bloody pins. Its sights were set on Seymore, but the swordsman stood firm, only for Mal and Trip to throw themselves in its path just before it struck. Seymore still driven back, but his allies taking the brunt of it, rib cracked and out of breath. "Out of my way," Rax growled, shoving his way past, though even as he did, frost flaked off his half-frozen armor, his attack, unfortunately, averted. The unnatural cold, an even counter for his fiery rage. Gasping, wheezing, clutching its side, Trip unshouldered a weighted net, hucking it with one hand in hopes of somehow slowing the beast down, but alas, a simple fishing net was no match for a borderline god. The ropes were shredded with a simple turn of its head, a burbling laugh bubbling up from its blue-flecked lips. I'm not sure if the snow actually sustains the freezing effect or not. Like, I'm kind of trying to move our guys out of it, but that might not actually be necessary. Though I suppose it would still count as difficult ground, so there is that at least. But as blood-chilling as the fight might be, bit by bit, the raiders were starting to piece together this inhuman enemy's tactics. Darting in to land hits and then falling back, staying one step ahead of that Arctic aura. Trying to think of a way we can keep it off Seymore, but, I mean, I'm not really sure there's much we can do, aside from maybe just completely ensconcing him, or maybe just sprinting for the edge of the board. Oof. Though, even as the raiders rallied around Seymore, the beast suddenly turned its ire elsewhere. Simply a sharp turn of its head, the sudden swivel of its horns catching the raiders off guard. One cracking Trip smartly across the wrist. Mal deftly ducking another. And the raiders rush back in for lack of any better way to fight this beast, resorting to the reckless hack and slash of brute force. If nothing else, it did bleed. Even if its body was borrowed, and actual death might be naught but mere inconvenience. That was for future retcon to worry about. But in the here and now, this thing had to be put down. And thus Seymore staggered towards the fray. Rack stepping up to block his path, though perhaps more out of bloodthirst than actual concern. Also, I misgauged his approach. The thing's on an elevated perch, so it looked like it was one space higher. Though, I mean, it's not like Seymore would have been able to make use of that spot either. He would have also been in the wrong spot, and moving any further would have prevented him from attacking. Which, as we have seen with this thing, is pretty pointless, since it'll just teleport away. So no point in engaging unless you have AP left to attack. Bonus if you have enough AP to then also fall back afterwards. Oof. A flash of frost, and this time the beast propelled straight upward before crashing back down. Its massive, brutish, hooved fists crashing against Zarmal's blade, barely held at bay. The assassin himself left unharmed, though staggered by the sheer force of the assault. And the raiders quickly pushed in. Stabbing, jabbing, sticking and moving. They had slowly grown accustomed to how this thing fought. Whilst its movements were still chaotic and impossibly powerful, it did seem to have very particular preferred patterns. Perhaps just part of the game? Perhaps some life or death puzzle posited by some bored penumbral pest? Perhaps they could banish it by tricking it into speaking its own name backwards. Okay, Zara's gonna get froze. Nice, nice. The plate ate it. Alright, I think we've got this. Barring a redoubled assault upon our more wounded raiders, Seymore and Trip are the two main ones I'm concerned about. We just gotta keep pouring it on. We've gotta outpace that regen. Keep draining that health pool. And overwhelm whenever we get the chance. Sadly, as with most high-end foes, it does appear completely immune to fearsome. There's not even a morale flag. Oh, we gotta wrap this up quick because we're about to have a lot of our guys on ice. Another boreal blast drove the raiders back. The bloodied beast retreating to a second raised perch. As powerful as it might be, its body did still have limits. The rents and tears riddling its form, finally giving it pause. Blood and ichor mingling as they streamed thickly down its form, intertwining into vibrant purplish hues. Oh, we're not going to be able to hit it much this round. We're just going to have to hang back. Wait for next. The snow is difficult terrain, so if we push in, that's 3 AP right there, and a lot of our guys are currently frostbitten. The beast's bold movements began to grow less bombastic. Frosty footsteps flecked with blue and blood. But the raiders, weary as they were, did not relent. Though the beast did seem more wary now, which did make this slightly problematic. It seemed intent on staying away from the most dangerous of its supposed playmates. Though even those sporting the smallest blades could still sting, much to the shaggy brute's chagrin. Oh, we are so close. One more hit, come on. Oh, shoot, right, Rack's still recovering. Okay, we've got one more round. One more round. Just hang in there, guys. I'd love for Seymore to get this, but I mean, there's no real realistic way that's going to happen. Another spectral step, the beast's form blurring. A single stride, somehow taking it halfway across the field, then rubber banding back about. A brutal impact. Random sent grunting and bouncing across the snow. Yeah, it's still being tricky. We're gonna get in like 3 hits and then it teleports again. Seymore might do some damage, but it's not going to be enough, not after that last tick of regen. Yeah. Solid hit. I mean, that was enough to almost completely undo the regen, at least. Okay. That's a bit more, but still not quite enough. Oh. Well, you know what? Death by Rax it is. Oh. Or not? Oh man, are we gonna somehow seize defeat from the jaws of victory here? Oh my goodness. Okay, no. We've got this. The beast teetered and tottered, its skin sagging, blood finally run dry. And then, with one last mighty swing, Rax finally clove it in twain. Jagged axe carving from crotch to clavicle, squirming organs spilling forth from its sundered frame. Not a one of them even remotely human. And thus the raiders finally caught their breath. Attention turned towards their sundry wounds. Some trivial, others much less so. But as pained as they might be, they all still stood, alive, and triumphant. Oh man, that could have gone so much worse. I was really worried about Seymore after that first round rush, but no, we made it through. And immediately after, the anatomists swiftly descended upon their prize, eager to claim the mysteries within. and soon thereafter, as the raiders rested in a camp hastily set, they emerged once more, elixir in hand. "Behold," Rook cried, "the elixir of the mad god!" The main label on this elixir was illegible, written in hastily scrawled sigils in some foreign or fake language. Underneath, written in a tidy, small script, "Side effects. Many." Thrilling. And yeah, that's just a base 50% resistance to all potential status effects, though there is more yet to claim. With a killing blow well placed, the Ejirok clambers side to side, gripping its final wound. It lets out a howl of pain and buckles at the knees and can only barely hold itself up with one hand as its body doubles over and vomits into the ground. But the whole thing seems like a charade, and the beast at times looks over as though to make sure you are watching. It is a drama, a poorly acted show put on by that which does not know death in any sense. The eyes lock with yours, and that unsettling grin returns. Then the monstrosity flashes a blinding strobe of blue, and when the natural light of the world returns, the corpse is frozen solid, and flakes of snow drizzle from the sky. That can't be it. You just know it. You walk up to the iced remains and start chopping away. As you hew into the ice, a blue ooze drips from channels and gaps. One final swing smashes the ice apart, and the blob of goo runs every which way. As the men look on, rather concerned, Eerie hands you the shattered armor from the cave, and you throw it into the Ejirok's blood. The strange tendrils that held its pieces together instantly brighten, and you watch as they begin to twist, taut, and pull the plates together. Matted elk fur conjoins with the metal as though they were one being coming to heal old wounds. Blood snakes over the plates like moss twirling beneath the riverbed, curling to and fro before flattening out, and painting the armor a slick red. Picking it up, you feel a buzz on your fingertips. "I hope you don't suggest I wear that, Captain," Drakiith says, shaking his head with a nervous smile. You're not sure yet what the armor is capable of, but no doubt have the mind to keep it in inventory to see. As for the Ejirok, you've no doubt it's still out there, somewhere. Its corpse is already decaying rapidly, and the bones which remain are not that of a giant beast, but simply that of a poor elk. Oh, interesting. Based on the prose, I was kind of assuming the armor had somehow trapped it. That perhaps the other guy we had killed in the icy cave was a previous champion whom had essentially sacrificed himself to try to keep it contained. Though our ever-nebulous captain seems to have thoughts otherwise. Not that I think that actually materializes, not unless they've changed things since last time I actually played. Oh, boy, we are looking a bit rough and ragged around the edges here. One sec, let me see if I can get our guys in some semblance of fighting shape. And we're back. Yep, we had just enough combat-capable raiders to field a full team, even if Seymore is still a bit gently bruised from prior battle. And as for the gear we just got, let's give that a gander. The armor of the Ejirok. Once a barbarian's armor broken in battle, this piece has been bathed in the blood of the legendary Ejirok. Powers beyond your understanding mended it whole again, and will likewise mend any wounds of the wearer as well. Very nice. High-end heavy with a wound eraser chaser. Oh yeah, that's actually a pretty nice step up from Rax's current gear. And honestly, that wasn't too shabby itself, though in retrospect, now that I'm looking at it, I do realize it's a bit on the low end for unique heavy. Yeah, I think this goes to Rax. You know, the dude's plenty powerful already, but he did get the killing blow, and honestly, I have always kind of envisioned him as slowly transforming into the equivalent of a Chaos Warrior. This would certainly go with the look, although that is actually a pretty notable step down on the helm. but I suppose offset by the step up with the armor, and the regen, which I assume stacks, so that would be plus 20 wounds around. Oh, yeah, that definitely goes with that axe, and that necklace. Alright, enjoy. I'll have to put some thought towards who gets your hand-me-downs, which, honestly, aren't that shabby in and of themselves, even if this is slightly lighter as far as unique heavy goes. Gotta figure out what to do with that green one, too. But we can think about that on the way back. Gotta get ourselves over to Agerstead. We have got a lot of wounds to tend. Also a new ambition. Picked it up en route. The trade 25 goods. So that's a nice excuse to do the rounds while we're up here, you know, waiting for everyone to recover. A couple of loops will rekindle our reputation and hopefully knock out yet another ambition. Perhaps even put us on course for, I don't think we've done the Noble Alliance ambition yet, so that might be a good one to set our sights on next. Speaking of which, we do have a 3 skull on tap, but that might be a bit much for us in our current condition. You enter a tavern and garner a few looks for your arrival. Men whisper to one another, the women ogle as they tend to do. The bartender fists a cloth into a mug, then calls you over. You're that mercenary people have been wondering about. Curious, you ask how he could know, being that you aren't the only man walking around with a sword. He laughs. The eyes, that's where I can see it. You're a man who hunts the most dangerous sort of prey. The life of taking lives is a world in and of itself. But you seek out those whose lives have gained such odd values that their death would be but a monetary appreciation for others. A purchase is placed, so thus you become the means to a transaction. It is so, isn't it? You're a bone collector, my friend. A gravedigger, paid in advance. You nod, understanding. Suddenly, a man comes up to you and explains that a local figurehead by the name of Wilfried the Younger wishes to have your ear. When you turn back, the bartender is gone. Ooh, I like that. But that we could live without. Glorified package run to Lounstead. Yeah, that's well out of our way. I mean, we'll put a pin in it just in case, but I can't imagine we'll actually end up doing that one. Oh, and yeah, I mean, that's tempting, but we'll hold off for the time being. At the very least, we have to get our guys bandaged, lest they get infected. Witch burning, sure. And ample contracts to choose from. Very nice. Let's go ahead and get our guys set. A whopping 8 injuries to treat. And then our other 3 guys are already treated, of course. We took care of that. Oh, actually, they are already fully recovered. Which, of course, is also why you want to actually bandage your brothers. Faster recovery time. That does give us options, so let's move into a slightly more traditional formation here. Yeah, that's good. That's better. And Rex can rest until we need him next. Now let's get a peek at those contracts. A drunken woman throws herself at you. She practically drools licentious horrors into your ear, and you beat her off with a stick. One onlooker rushes to your side, yanking the wench away. "Begone, woman! How many times must I tell you?" The lady saunters off, clambering from one man to another like an animal between tree branches. Your rescuer offers a hand. "I am Horst, A man of some import. Berthold the Counselor has been looking for you. Please, follow me and I shall bring you to him. You step into Berthold the Counselor's room and he shoves a map into your face. Sellsword, time for you to go exploring. See this uncharted spot north of here in the region of Frostfinger's realm? That's where I need you to go in search of the Vile Man's retreat. Do you accept it or not? Yeah, I mean, sure. Pay's honestly awful, but it will point us towards uneasy enemy camp. I mean, theoretically easy, it is just a one skull, but taking out the camp isn't actually part of the contract, so maybe they don't factor that in. As per usual, I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Yeah, might as well check the weaponsmith. Which does have a named Katal. A weapon I'm not terribly fond of, to be perfectly blunt, but I mean, we don't have a unique Katal. We've just got the normal. How's this thing stack? Higher durability, higher damage, higher armor effectiveness. You know, normally I'd balk at a 10,000 gold price on a weapon I might not use, but I'll make an exception. We've got gold to spare, and if we are going to dabble with Katals again, it's good to have a unique one on tap. As for our current contract, this should be nice and quick. There's not a whole lot of north from Agerstead, so that really does kind of narrow down the possibilities. And there we are. It's already time to return to Berthold the Counselor, as Vile Man's retreat was easier to find than you figured. You mark it on your map and chuckle. What luck? Though, of course, curiosity gets the better of you. Oh, okay, yeah, that's definitely beyond what you would normally expect from a one skull, so I do think those contracts basically just point you towards the nearest undiscovered camp, which is good to know. That actually does encourage me to take them on more often, if just to, point us towards ideal targets of opportunity. And whilst undead, admittedly, don't make the most exciting foes, it'll make for a nice fight to decompress with, and, who knows, maybe we'll find something nice. Spying another sinister sorcerer from afar, the raiders, of course, are not content to simply return to Agerstead and report his coordinates. Rather, as per usual, and perhaps out of an overabundance of caution, for fear of what Berthold might actually do with that information, the raiders once again wade into the fray. They're met by stiff wind and stiffer foes, sleet stinging their eyes and slicking the ground at their feet. "Where's the wizard?" Valen shouted over the wind. "Not sure," Arrow responded, squinting into the distance, past the frayed figures. "Somewhere in back, I think." "Really?" Alois chuckled. "Never would have guessed." Arrow shot him a look, but Alois simply shrugged. "Just keep an eye out for any unnatural lights. These fuckers can never go long without casting some spells." "Heads up," Val called. A pair of javelins suddenly loosed, impaling an approaching undead. Drak decapitated it for good measure, the body toppling to the ground. An arrow moved up behind, but still no visual on the craven conjurer that had brought these things forth. As per usual, Geists are our biggest threat. We never did get around to training up a second replacement bannerman after we lost Rev. Perhaps that's what our final slot might end up being. I mean, I keep waiting for one of the other raiders to kick it. Not that I want them to, but it is inevitable. We're still running with a shocking number of, low and mid-tier starter recruits. "There," Alois suddenly barked. A split second before Arrow could. The archer paused briefly, then nodded. Necromancer sighted. Southeast corner. Go around or go through? What do you think? Rax growled, lumbering forward, axe in hand. Through it is, Seymore nodded, following in his fellow warrior's wake, brandishing his brand new Bardish, which I think I forgot to highlight earlier. Though he did use it for the Egirok fight. For all the good it did him, it was hard to actually get him engaged. And the Geists, unheeding of all this errant chatter, simply glided forth, their ghastly faces twisting as they prepared to unleash, to vent their purgatorial pain and suffering upon the mortals present. Not, of course, that it gave Rax pause. He had no fear of death. A casual sweep of his axe, a rotten head sent tumbling. And the rest of the raiders engaged. Verlin swiftly moving up, muting the first disquiet specter. Swords, spears, and polearms, best weapons against Geists. Though, of course, we're not exactly overburdened with those, so we'll take our hits where we can get them. And all the while, that wicked warlock led from the rear, his eyes ablaze, as he puppeted the putrid peasants he had twisted to his will. What's a word for undead that starts with P? Pall? Like a pallbearer? I don't think the pall's actually the person, though. I think that's like the coffin or something. There is some good pun potential there, though. Pall, appalled. I'll have to jot that down for potential future use. Up here, lad. Alois quickly jerked his gun, gesturing. An arrow moved up beside him. Sight set on the malevolent mage. The archer muttered under his breath, even as the battle continued, raging around him. Calculating angles, wind speed, even trying to anticipate the evil arcanist's every move. Val continued felling the fetid flankers on north. And the first horrid howls wash over the raiders' ranks. Though only the freshest of their recruits are actually shaken. Giannis and Seymore. Yeah, that does feel appropriate. Diego dashing past Giannis to send one lost soul along its way. An arrow looses his shot. The first impaling the invoker's throat. The second his heart. And just like that, the craven caster is no more. Though the beasts he conjured still yet linger, and thus the raiders' cleanup efforts ensue. Now far less complicated with no spellcaster in the mix. Giannis finds his footing, whilst an enemy loses their head. Seymore surges forward. Another pitched battle ended. Still two Geists, but I'm honestly not too worried about that. At this point, we really are just kind of going through the motions. And harvesting XP. Hopefully we'll pull at least a level or two. Plus potential plunder. Oh, I did end up dropping the smoke bombs on our throwers. It's just more tactically sound to keep that 4th slot empty. I wish we didn't have to, but, you know, if we want to reasonably use those slings, we need to make sure we've got space. And one by one, the wizard's work is undone. The restless dead put back to rest. Oop. We lost track. We'll get Rook on that. Really got to toss Drak a morale boosting necklace. There we go. Welcome back, bud. With the final Geist gone, the Raiders' work was all but done. A few more swings and slices. And the cemetery finally had its moment of silence. Though just a moment. Because given the way of things, it was only a matter of time before some new nastiness came along. And we're good. With a level up for Giannis. Lovely. Alright, let's check our loot. Sadly, nothing of note, but we will take the grimoire. I mean, we'll take it all. We've got room. We're headed straight back to Agerstead. Right after we take care of this. Giannis. How we looking, bud? Level 9. We'll take the melee, we'll take the MDef. And I would really like some fatigue, but we're not going to take a +2. +3 RDEF's not bad, but I don't feel like we really need it. That +5 initiative is kind of tempting. He is currently at 80. Yeah, why not? Especially since we now have Rax's gear freed up. That had a pretty low initiative hit. -18, that's not bad at all. Yeah, that's a full 6-point swing. Don't think we'll swap out the helmet, though. I mean, there are better options, but I really like the way that one looks. And again, still have to figure out what to do with this one. And this. I'll figure it out. That's it. Let's get our butts back to Agerstead. We're running a bit long. We'll get this thing turned in, and that'll be a good place to call it. Good work out there, Raiders. Another legend secured. You report to Berthold the Counselor, telling him of the vile man's retreat's location. He nods and scribbles it down, quickly confirming that he had already sent a tracker to keep tabs. Pretty standard routine. You take your pay and go on your way. 300 gold, not even a single day's pay, but the grimoire at least makes up the difference. Plus the level up on Giannis. Certainly can't complain about that. That's it. We'll hit the pause button for now. I will take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping and figure out where we go from here. We've got a couple of contracts on tap, so perhaps one of those will be promising. I mean, ultimately, ideally, I do think we want to go out of our way to try to finally track down some Shrot. And noble contracts are a good way to do that. Though, honestly, we could also use some Lindworms as well, since we lost our Lindworm potion with Annie. Never did get that replaced. We haven't replaced our Hex potion either. I'm going to sit on Giannis's perk. I forgot that we gave him Student, which we didn't do with most of our other guys. So that does kind of throw off my usual level up scheme. I'm also not sure what weapon we're locking him in on. Though I will say I'm pretty happy with that blade. I've always had a soft spot for cleavers. Oh, and we will pick up here next time. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.